Wind presses against the shutters. The stove breathes low heat. A girl stands still, listening. Scrape, mortar against stone. In the doorway, iron teeth catch the firelight. The smell of birch smoke and something older. You don't outrun the forest. You bargain with it. In the deep forests of Eastern Europe, stories have been whispered for centuries. Tales of a wandering spirit, a witch of the woods, known simply as Baba Yaga. She devours, they say, and saves, sometimes in the same breath. One detail in her hut explains why some children walk away. To understand that hunger, we return to the tales that kept children alive. Welcome to the Midnight Archive. We follow the threads others call superstition, then test what holds. Tonight, we stand at the hinge, between the witch who devours and the guardian who keeps the fire, and step into the stories that taught survival. Let's dive deeper. Winter narrowed the world to firelight and hunger. Parents needed stories that taught straight lines through crooked woods. Baba Yaga worked because she punished what killed you, carelessness, laziness, arrogance, and rewarded what kept you breathing, labor, humility, exact speech. The tale of Vasilisa tightens like a snare. A mother dies and leaves a small doll, a last blessing pressed into a daughter's palm. A father remarries. The new household becomes a quiet siege. Work piles up. Kindness thins. When the lamp is accidentally snuffed, they send Vasilisa into the forest for fire. That's not an errand. That's a sentence. The forest watches. 3 riders pass, white at dawn, red by noon, black at night, like the day bowing to someone else's clock. Bone fence ahead. Skull lanterns wink to life. Sockets burning with cold flame, gate bolts made of arms, a lock like a jaw. Then the scrape and rush. Baba Yaga flies in a mortar, steering with a pestle, sweeping her trail away with a broom so no one can follow. Iron teeth, hair wild as roots. Vasilisa doesn't run. She bows. She asks only for flame. The answer is simple and ruinous. Earn it. Prepare a feast. Clean the yard. Sort the wheat from chaff, wash the linen, sweep the floor. Do it all or be eaten. The test isn't random cruelty. It's the household reduced to law. Keep the fire, keep the fabric, keep the food, keep the ground. Fail, and the forest swallows you like winter swallows the unwary. At night, the doll eats a crumb of the bread Vasilisa saves and whispers counsel. Tasks finish before dawn. Baba Yaga returns, surprised, then curious, then uneasy. She smells out the doll with that long iron nose, asks questions with rules woven into them. What did you see on the road? What did you ask? What did you answer? One wrong word can feed a furnace. Vasilisa answers precisely, not boasting, not lying. It matters. When the work is done, Baba Yaga offers payment the way the forest does, with something lethal that can save you if you use it right. A skull with coals for eyes. Take your fire, she says. The stepmother and stepsisters crowd the door, desperate for heat. The skull watches. The light leaps. Ash falls where envy stood. Vasilisa survives, not because she is pure, but because she listens, works, and speaks carefully. The lesson isn't romance, it's competence. Across other paths, even Tsarevich rides toward fortune and finds Baba Yaga instead. Heroes in these woods don't get free power, they get rules. Feed the horses before yourself. Don't sleep when you should stand guard. Accept directions exactly, left to the river, right to the stone, no questions. Yaga tests him as she tests everyone, punishing arrogance, rewarding grit. If he mouths off, she sets the mortar rolling. If he labors and keeps the bargain, she gives more than fire. A thread through labyrinthine tasks, a clue only the dead would know. The setting becomes a character, a hut on chicken legs, turning and turning. It won't face you until you speak the formula. The threshold chooses. The fence of skulls is terrible, but it's also a map. It shows how many fail to learn the steps, and how bright the path will be if you do. Hunger imagery stains every surface. Iron teeth, bone mortar, pestle grinding. It sounds like famine wearing a shawl. It also sounds like a memory of the oven that keeps you alive. Fire devours, but it keeps the stew warm and the wolves far. The stories hold both truths at once. Baba Yaga is scarcity personified. She'll take what you waste, and she's the keeper of the fire you can't live without. Parents used her as a weapon and a warning. Don't wander off the trail. Don't mock the old. Don't brag. Work when work is needed. Speak only what you can keep. Bring offerings. Leave greed at the threshold. You can feel the cold under every word. Then the twist and the flame. She isn't chaos. She's order with teeth. She sets impossible chores that are, in fact, the ordinary rituals of survival. Spin, sweep, sort, cook. Fail them and you're fuel. Pass them and you go home with fire. That's why the stories lodged in children's ribs. They weren't just fear, they were instructions disguised as fear. The doll's counsel is the quiet voice of mothers and grandmothers saying, save a crust, keep the hearth clean, answer clearly, don't waste the light. Here's where it gets strange. Baba Yaga holds the very thing that saves the village, and she's the one everyone fears. Why would a devourer keep the fire that saves towns? While that question smoulders, the house turns. The threshold waits for someone who knows the words. At the forest's edge, the stories shift from punishment to passage. The clearing isn't just a place, it's a border. The hut turning on chicken legs doesn't wander lost. It hides the gate until you're ready to speak to it. Turn your back to the forest, your front to me. The formula does the aligning. Say it wrong, and the door stays away. Say it right, and the house faces you like an eye opening. The border matters because life depended on boundaries, fields, village, hearth, then the dark. The fence of bones isn't only terror, it's signage, skulls set on posts, the sockets lit like watchfires. They look outward and inward at once, reminding you that people cross here, and not all return. It is widely reported that the skull lanterns guide as much as they warn, marking a path through the clearing the way stars mark a path at sea. Inside that circle, bargains hold. The hut is a courtroom and a shrine, a space where your words are weighed. The lock that looks like a jaw, the bolts like arms. Everything speaks of thresholds, arms that bar, jaws that judge. If that wasn't strange enough, the house keeps turning, as if offering different faces to different travelers. But the unsettling truth is that only one face matters, the one you earn through correct address, respect, and offerings. Baba Yaga's flight tells the same story from above. The mortar and pestle are tools of grinding, yes, but tools also used to mix medicine, to prepare grain, to keep households alive. When she sweeps her trail with a broom, it reads like erasure, but it also reads like a psychopomp's duty. Leave no footprints for the living to follow into the lands of the dead. The evidence suggests she escorts souls across unseen lines, then removes the path, the way a ferryman pulls in the bridge. The bargains are rule-bound, bread left on a stump, a strand of hair tied to a branch, exact speech, tasks that mirror initiations, sweep without raising dust, spin flax evenly, no knots. Fetch water without spilling. Each chore is a rite. And the doll's counsel, eat, rest, do what you can, answer what is asked, acts like an ancestral voice reminding you of the old order. Like peeling back old wallpaper, the patterns underneath show a house religion. Firekeeping, spinning, sweeping. Survival dressed as liturgy. Your life can hinge on a single phrase. The formula, turn your back to the forest, your front to me, isn't poetry, it's calibration. A line to the human world to request entry to the other. A line to the other world to bring something back. Those who master the formula return with more than fire. Knowledge of a safe ford, the way through briars, the route to a healer's herbs. The impact echoes. Villages survive because someone spoke correctly at a bone gate. Meanwhile, something else is happening around the perimeter. Helper objects appear: comb, mirror, handkerchief, the doll. Tossed behind during pursuit, they transform into forests, lakes, rivers. It was said that these aren't cheap tricks, but tokens of lineage. The comb from a grandmother, the mirror from a mother, the doll from a dying hand. Ancestral aid made object. The land itself answers because the offerings came from those who kept its rules. The house's foundation matters. Chicken legs, goat legs, spindles. In many readings, it keeps the hut off the ground like a storage loft, away from animals. In the stories, it means the house can pivot away from unworthy eyes and pivot toward those who knock properly. Movement turns into judgment. It remains a gatehouse in motion, deciding who gets the door and who gets the wall. The stakes stay human. A traveller caught by night needs light. A bride sent to a strange household needs competence. A son searching for a lost sister needs a direction only the dead would know. The fence of skulls holds the cost. The cleared threshold holds the chance. Speak poorly and you join the fence. Speak precisely and the skulls ignite, lanterns showing you out. What nobody knew at first hearing is that the terror is restraint. Baba Yaga doesn't hunt the capable. She waits at the hinge of worlds and enforces the exchange. Pay, labour, answer, and you pass. Fail, and the fence grows. Those who return carry a mark. Soot on their hands, new words in their mouths, the memory of a house that turned to hear them. If she guards the threshold, we have to ask, whose realm stands behind her? Before we push the door wider, a caution. Baba Yaga isn't one voice, she's a chorus stitched from centuries. Folk tales shift by village and teller. There's no single scroll with her true name inked on it. It remains a composite, sharp, layered, and resistant to being filed under one word. Even her name is a tangle. Baba sits between grandmother and wise woman, midwife and fortune teller, familiar and dangerous at once. Yaga drifts through meanings tied to horror, illness, fury. Some point to roots that whisper of disease or rage. Others to riding, to serpents, to something that moves and coils. The unsettling truth is that the name behaves like she does. It refuses a cage, hinting at age, power, and fear in one breath. Listen to the riders we met earlier, white at dawn, red at noon, black at night. 3 figures circling her clearing like a clock built from the sky. In many tellings, they answer to her, not the other way around. If that's true, then Baba Yaga doesn't just live in the forest. She commands the hinge points of time, opening morning, sealing night, setting the day in motion. This was the moment everything changed for many listeners. The witch isn't merely hungry, she's calendrical. She governs transitions. In her hut, the oven glows. That oven is ambiguous. It's where bread rises, where bodies burn, where cold bones could be warmed to life in winter rites. In some households, infants were passed near the oven for blessing, the same place grandmothers tended embers through the night. Womb and tomb. If Baba Yaga holds that fire, she stands over both entrances. Birth and burial live under her roof. Then the skulls. Ancestors were not abstract in these lands. Skulls watched, candles set within them at graves or thresholds in older practices. In the stories, those skulls blaze to guide or to judge. The effect is the same. The dead participate. Some readings say the doll in Vasilisa's pocket is a mother's final blessing given shape. Food for the doll is food for memory. The helper object speaks with an older voice. In that light, Baba Yaga isn't just a monster. She's an elder at the border of the living and the dead. A guardian who recognizes offerings and hears the words of kin. But let's consider weather. Forest people watch the sky the way sailors watch the sea. Storms meant ruined harvests, starving winters. Iron teeth grinding, mortar pounding. The broom sweeping a path clear. It reads like thunder, like wind scouring fields, like the sound of grain crushed into meal. A chilling possibility. Baba Yaga personifies the storm that devours and the grind that feeds. She rides, and the world trembles. When she passes, you either have flower or ruin. Her tools complicate everything. Mortar and pestle aren't witchy props to that world. They're household sacraments. Spinning and sweeping weren't chores. They were covenant, daily rites that kept the house aligned with seasons and spirits. The thing is, in story after story, the tasks she sets mirror those rites exactly. Spin clean, sort true, sweep without raising dust, answer plainly. It is widely reported that priesthood in the home belonged to women who tended fire and thread. If so, then Baba Yaga's hut is a temple where those duties decide fate. Now, the triple figure looms again. Some tales split her into 3 sisters, each a Baba Yaga in her own right. 3 old women who share a name and a function, appearing at different points along a path. Triple aspects haunt myth: maiden, mother, crone, dawn, noon, night, waxing, full, waning. The evidence suggests she's been read as a fractured goddess, her priesthood broken into story fragments after older rites faded. Not proof, but the pattern is stubborn. Reclassifying her matters. If she's a witch, she tempts and tricks. If she's a goddess, she tests and keeps. The moral shifts. Children don't meet a predator, they face an examiner. Adults don't bargain with chaos, they enter a covenant. That reframing doesn't make her soft, it makes her necessary. Those who survive her trials become fit for the human world because they've aligned with something older than town law. And yet, she still eats the lost. Some wanderers don't return. The fence doesn't decorate itself. We have to ask whether the devouring is cruelty or consequence. In stories born under scarcity, waste and arrogance kill you. In Baba Yaga's clearing, the penalty wears a face. Moving deeper into this case, what nobody knew at first telling becomes clear in the patterns. She carries storm and ancestor, ritual and night. She answers to offerings and precise speech. She may be a goddess whose name eroded into a title, or an ancestor spirit magnified into a sovereign. The label matters less than the function. She guards the hinge. She demands competence. She keeps the fire that can burn you or light your way. So, why the eating? Why the iron teeth, the bone fence, the threat that hangs over every chore? To understand the devouring, we have to stand in winters, when cupboards were thin and roads were ambushes. Children vanished into snowdrifts and thickets. People didn't need abstract evil. They needed a face for avoidable death, arrogance, waste, wandering. Baba Yaga took those sins and made them costly. Stories became moral engineering. Don't stray from the track. Carry embers. Respect elders. Speak only what you can keep. Parents weren't telling ghost stories. They were installing code. The bargain of labor was the core. Fetch water without spilling. Clean the hut. Sort the grain. Spin the thread. Those chores weren't busy work. They were survival disciplines, rehearsals for adulthood. If you failed, the penalty looked like being eaten. In a world where one mistake could starve a household, that metaphor wasn't hyperbole. It was translation. Speech mattered as much as labor. Baba Yaga's questions come with tripwires. Say too much and you boast. Say too little and you withhold. Speak crooked and you lie. Precision becomes spellcraft. The penalty for sloppy words reads as fire in the skull's eyes. It's harsh, but it teaches a village that promises and directions must be exact, or people die in swamps and snow. Mercy appears, but it has a method. She spares those who serve the rhythm. Work first, answer cleanly, pay the toll. The doll's counsel whispers the same beat. Eat a crumb, rest, keep your head, do what's in front of you. The mercy is not sentimental. It's procedural. Pass the right, get the fire, fail, feed the fence. It remains a terrifying calculus, but it's consistent. The unforgiven stand out. Oath breakers, mockers of the old, stepmothers who weaponize hunger against kin, lazy hands that leave ash in the hearth. When skull light leaps and burns a cruel household, the story isn't endorsing revenge. It's enforcing social order. The world is cold, the forest is close, and betrayal makes everyone weaker. In these tales, the flame finds those fractures and seals them with ash. The house itself teaches alignment. It turns until you learn the key. Doors do not open for panic. They open for people who know the formula. Like a lock you must learn. The hut doesn't respond to fear or force. It responds to calibration, front to me, back to the forest. You place yourself in the order, then you're allowed through. Impact ripples outward. Baba Yaga becomes a living boundary, a test built from weather and hunger and community memory. She devours not to indulge, but to mark what cannot be carried past the threshold. Vanity, waste, empty words. She spares what a village needs: competence, humility, exactness. Cross prepared, and you come home with fire. Cross unprepared, and you join the warning on the fence. Moving deeper into this, we have to ask what the devouring looks like now. The forest isn't only trees. It's any unknown that punishes carelessness. Cities, networks, winters that still arrive on schedule. The rule remains stubborn. Learn the pattern, keep the ember, honor the old hands who know the way, or be consumed by a system that doesn't care what you meant to do. And yet, the fear is humane. It teaches you to survive. That's the unsettling truth at the heart of her hunger. She's the mouth that closes on what would kill you if it stayed. Her shadow stretches into the present. At forest edges and park tree lines, at the lip of vacant lots, people still leave small things where paths cross. Bread, onions, a key, a pour of vodka. Quiet bargains at boundaries. The offerings announce a request, fierce protection, a road through liminal work, guidance with teeth. Practitioners speak of her as exacting and honest. You don't ask for comfort. You ask for clarity. She doesn't flatter. She demands effort and consent. In modern witchcraft, her symbols persist. Mortar and pestle move from flight to altar, tools of transformation. A broom stands for the sweep that clears the way and erases tracks you don't want others to follow. Skull candles glow as path markers, not threats. The chicken-legged hut appears on charms and in meditations as a moving threshold. You approach and wait until it turns. Divination borrows her grammar. Questions are narrow. Answers are precise. The ethic is clear. Do your work, make your offering, accept the result. People who venerate her talk about boundaries as sacred. No shortcuts. If you're not ready to be told no, don't knock. Culture keeps borrowing the look. Games build levels with bone fences and turning houses. Films frame a hut that won't face you until you speak the words. The image travels because the function still fits. We live at edges, between screens and streets, work and home, old rules and new markets. A figure who enforces thresholds feels current. Comparisons surface. Hecate stands at crossroads with keys and dogs, guiding without consuming. La Llorona cries by water, a warning stitched to loss, a devourer for children who wander near dangerous banks. Baba Yaga sits between them. She tests by hunger and labor. She guides if you earn it. She consumes if you fail. The distinction matters. You don't come to her for a gentle hand. You come to be measured. The practice reflects that stance. Ethical rules emphasize consent and exchange. Don't bind without permission. Don't take without paying. Keep your word. If you ask for fire, prepare to carry it. The appeal is the honesty. There's no false mercy. There's work. There's cost. There's light. Some see in her a way to reclaim elder power without romanticizing it. Ancestral echoes are acknowledged without nostalgia. The skull lantern isn't cute. It's dangerous and helpful in one breath. The mortar grinds herbs for medicine and bones in threat. The broom purifies a space and erases a trail. Tools are ambiguous by design. So is she. And then there are private rituals at windowsills. A plate with salt, a crust of bread, a key turned toward the door. Small acts that say, I recognize the boundary. Help me keep it. The house doesn't need to be in a forest. The threshold can be an apartment door, a hospital room, a new job, a farewell. The formula still works. Align yourself. Speak clearly. Accept the price. Meanwhile, art keeps her alive. Illustrators draw the spinning house. Musicians layer drones with wind and hidden grinding, like a pestle crossing stone. Writers return to the doll in the pocket, the quiet voice that says, save a crumb, answer when asked, work before asking. These aren't quaint details. They're a map. It remains simple and hard. She stays at the hinge. She stays hungry for what wastes us. She stays generous with what saves us when we meet her terms. And in a century that rewards noise, her rules cut through like cold air. Work, speak true, make the offering, and the door will turn. She isn't salvation or doom. She's the test that decides which one you meet. The hut's turning legs don't flee. They align. Speak the words, and the threshold faces you. Stay silent, and it keeps its back. Mercy, in this place, is measured in chores done. Embers kept, promises kept. You earn your way back with work and exact speech. Skull lanterns flare, not to condemn, but to mark the path you proved you could walk. Bread, salt, a key appear at edges and windowsills, quiet bargains with the boundary. In a world that still devours the careless, her hunger teaches the shape of survival. So what is she? A witch, gatekeeper, or something older? The evidence suggests the label matters less than the function. She guards the hinge, demands competence, and keeps fire that can burn you or guide you home. Tell me in the comments which face you see, a witch, gatekeeper, or something older, and why. If you want to keep exploring what waits beyond the veil, hit subscribe. When the hut turns to face you, what truth, work, word, or offering will you place in her hands? This is the Midnight Archive. Keep your ember, speak clean, and when you're ready to cross, we'll meet you at the threshold.